In this video, I'm not only going to give you 4 exercises that will upgrade your technique like crazy, but also show you how you can use technique practice to improve your knowledge about modes, scales, tonal, colors, and theory. We're going to go through all the individual exercises, how to play them, how to use them, and then I'm going to give you the framework that you can use to upgrade your musicality while becoming a more virtuous player. Let's go. Now, the first exercise is all about finger independence and avoiding tension. What I see a lot of my students, especially the beginners, is that they either flex all the muscles for closing the hand, or they flex all the muscles for opening the hand, which results in exaggerating, of course, fretting chords like that, or trying to play a melody like that. You get the idea. So this exercise is perfect for training you to move the minimum amount of movement and pressure possible, and it's as devastatingly beautiful as simple. Let's, for instance, take a A major 7 chord in this case. It could really be any chord, just don't do this with bar chords, it's just borderline impossible to do. You want to have 1 finger per fret, so this one here is perfect. What I'm going to do is to either strum or pluck all 4 strings with my fingers on them while my fingers rest on top. And once you can do that, you can put your index, middle, ring, and pinky, and back. Or in one go. Or in different order, let's say 1, 3, 2, 4, 4, 2, 3, 1, and whatnot. You won't lift your fingers, you will let the strings push your fingers away from the frets. So you operate with minimum tension, maximum independence. Great phrases, I know? But just try to do it for a month and watch the magic happen. It's perfect for reducing tension in the hand, it's perfect for making the fingers move with small, nice, effortless motions. Second exercise is reverse hammer-ons. We spend a lot of time on working on the right-left hand synchronization, which we should. To really have these two work as a team. However, few people realize that you can also sync up your left hand. And one great exercise to do that is to play reverse hammer-ons. Also, this exercise is as devastatingly simple as it is beautiful. All we do is we take a semi-chromatic pattern and don't do pull-offs. That's not what we're doing here. We are playing hammer-ons. And ideally, you will have 2 things happening here. Number 1, the guitar hums. What do I mean by that? We don't have emotion like but we have because I roll the note from one finger to the other. In the millisecond my ring finger goes there, the pinky lifts, the millisecond my middle finger goes there, the ring finger lifts, and they all get out of each other's way. Number 2 I want you to pay attention to is this little clicking sound you hear. The mic should pick it up pretty well. This means that your fingers hit the strings with the right velocity and power. Power not meaning tension, by the way. So what you want is just run up and down the neck like that. And of course you don't have to go with chromatic lines. I just choose to put chromatic lines in there because again these two keep making problems and I really try to focus on them especially. But you can do this with 3 note per string scale patterns. Or which I prefer doing, for instance, arpeggios. Which we'll get on in a bit. Number 3, right-left hand synchronization. Now think about what first and 2 are doing with your left hand. You will be able to move with minimum motion and minimum tension and at the same time train your hand to move like micro piano hammers, for instance. So your left hand will have super accurate smooth chops, but these are not worth much if you can't really sync it up with your right hand, which is of course where scales come in, because practicing scales is just something that helps, something that works. And one problem I find with myself, for instance, is that sometimes I get so preoccupied with just playing up and down all the strings that I neglect tone, connection, motion and whatnot. And what I like to do here is using scale chunks. Little pieces of scales where I can really focus on the tone, motion and cleanliness of my phrases. And most importantly, take small breaks in between these chunks to let my muscles relax and again reinforce perfect control, accuracy and minimum effort in my left hand. And number 4, bendings. Because bendings are fun, bendings are great to do, and most importantly, bendings is something far too little people practice. And then just work on even more bluesy bends or more aggressive ones, but basically try to really reduce the tension I have in my fingers and just execute the bending with as much of my arm as possible, because then it's way easier to come out of those smooth. Second thing with bendings, which is where we come in a bit now, is intonation, to just really make sure to remember a pitch, imagine it, and then hit it, tuning my bendings. These 4 exercises in conjunction will upgrade your technique like crazy if you do them on a regular basis. You can grab them for free in my school community, link is down here below. Basically what they will give you is the ability to move with economy of motion and ultimate finger independence, taking your left hand, syncing it up and turning your fingers into little piano hammers basically, then feeding it all into scales, focusing on little chunks which give you the possibility to play faster, give you the possibility to practice faster, and most importantly, focus on tone. And lastly, improve your intonation so you can bend in tune and not only operate on the guitar as if it was a bunch of piano rolls, but also as if it was a vocal chord. And now to the one part in this video that I personally find most exciting, which is taking movement and turning it into the magic of music. We're going to talk about drones next. Now, what is a drone? Why use it for practice? The classic example of drones is, for instance, Indian music. When you hear people practicing the sitar, you always have this haze of sounds moving around in the background. That's what they call a shruti box or a tempura. And one of the reasons, I guess, that they use this in the background is for practicing intonation of bendings. Now I use a VST here, which is Violations by Venus Fury, which is a super nice, eerie, synth-like violin sample. And once I have this playing in the background, now in the key of A, now I can hear if I hit a note or linger in between, for instance. So practicing bendings with a drone in the background is a super great exercise because it teaches you to feel when you hit a note or what it sounds like or it feels like when you don't. And you can do that with an entire scale even. But that's just an Easter egg here. The real magic with drones lies in the exploration of tension and release. Now, to go back into the drone, I think I'm just gonna let this one playing now. Most basic framework of tension and release. Release. Tension. Release. Tension. Basically, you can also think of it as degrees of energy or expectation. But without getting too woo-woo about this, one way you can use drones is to really leverage anything you play harmonically. Let's take a simple A minor scale, for instance. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Once you have a root note in place, it will be literally an A minor scale because now we have a tonal center with notes that rest within that frequency, and we have notes that breed expectation, have tension, energy. feel that one note gravitates towards another. And how far you have to bend to really hit them again. So once you practice with drones, you can operate in the plane of tension and release. And by the way, I have an entire guitar program solely dedicated to discovering tension, release, and the chord-scale relationship in my school community as well. So if you really want to learn this stuff, give it a shot, because right now I'm starting out making the stuff, as you've probably told from the abysmal editing. You can grab these courses now for the best price ever. Once we have our root notes in place and our concept of tension and release in place, then we can take a look at the modes and how we can make guitar exercises actually a modal workout. Now, explaining what the modes are and how they come to existence would just completely blow the confines of this video. However, the most basic explanation I can give you right now is to think of modes as colors, as tonal colors, so to speak. Basically, let's listen to a drone again. If you think that our usual diatonic scale, with its sequence of whole and halftone steps, was a plane, or like a landscape, then you can think of the modes as different times of the day or different weathers, for instance. It's all the same place, it's always the same sequence of notes in the same order, but depending on where you start and where you stand, sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's light. And without getting too much about details here, let's just have a listen, for instance. Some are darker, some are happy to an almost painfully innocent degree. Others ask questions. Some are a bit more threatening. Some are very relaxing. Basically, every mode is like an emotion and a color, and the real trick with playing them is to connect to that emotion and color first and foremost. And for this example, we're going to narrow everything down to work a bit in the key of A Phrygian. Now basically, A Phrygian is the angry cousin of the A minor scale, and they are actually pretty much identical, only one thing changes, and I will show you now. For instance, if this was the A minor scale, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, everything stays the same. The only difference between the two is that instead of the minor scale, or natural minor scale to be precise, with this note here, which sort of lingers, in Phrygian we have a halftone in the beginning. There goes half the career of Metallica and many flamenco Johnnies. Phrygian is a minor scale with a semitone in the beginning, which gives it a nice more serious sound. Keep in mind, without the drone playing here in the background the whole time, it would just be impossible to really make sense of any of that, because modes reveal the function of individual notes. Alright, now we've taken a look at the 4 exercises, we've taken a look at how we can use drones to actually understand music by experiencing it, and we've taken a look at some guy yapping about modes and showing to you that they actually sound different, but how can you use that actually? And the key here really is to understand which chords lives in a mode and then translate techniques into those chords. And of course, most of you probably won't know any chords that live within modes, and that's okay. You can learn it step by step, and you can learn it through its exercises with a simple tool I'm going to share with you now. You probably cannot read it so well in my dark browser, but here you have 3 rows. You have the layout, scales or intervals. You have the tonic, you can choose which key we are in. Let's say we are in the key of A. And then down here you can choose if you want Lydian, Ionian, Mixolydian, i.e. your modes. And now if you're like, okay, I want to try out to do these exercises in A Phrygian. Step 1 is to look for some chords. This thing is a super neat function. If you press Control, you can listen to every single individual chord. Now, this piano sound could really use some reverb, but it doesn't have any. I'm gonna click it anyways. Process here is that you can scout sounds that you like around here and then build upon that. So armed with this knowledge, for instance, I can look for ways to implement these technique exercises targeting these chords, for instance. Let's say I took a major 7 chord before, for instance, and I can look here and find a major chord, in this case, for instance, on the notes of B flat or B flat major 7. Now I can take this chord and shift them on these spots, and suddenly my lifeless 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern magically transformed into a chord progression yelling Phrygian out into the world. Now, as a little example, let's take the complete emotional opposite, Mixolydian, for instance. Here I would have a major chord, of course, on the 1 and on the 7. So I could go like that, for instance, or completely different color, as opposed to. So I'm not randomly choosing the chords to just exercise emotion without making music. I use emotion to express music and improve my technique in the process. Now as for the reverse hammer-ons, for instance, I can think about chord shapes that I could fit that chromatic line into. Let's say, for instance, I take A minor and B flat major. One thing I can do is just play an A minor 7 arpeggio and then just fit a chromatic note in there. And voila, I get this. The basic concept here is I take a reverse hammer-on concept and just turn it into arpeggios. And I don't just shift them around up and down the neck because it's funny. I outline the chord structure I find in Phrygian. Now as for scale chunks, this one is going to be easy. If we want to sound like A Phrygian, we might play A Phrygian. So I'm just going to start here on A, in a D shape in this case, and take a small chunk to move up, and a small chunk to move down. And again, the drone gives me such a nice feedback on to know which notes I can linger on and which ones I maybe should not linger on, because they have a lot of energy that needs to be released. And lastly, as for bendings, one great thing you can do is to take your root and try to bend to the flat 9 here in the minor third, or do it in sequence. Then one more shit. Then start on the 5. What helps a lot is just to map out the individual pitches from the scale, and then try to follow it. And then, of course, you can also This is really the magic of this whole thing. We practice exercises in the context of a certain tonal color. And for that, you learn to move around the neck, you really upgrade your technique, but the whole time you're expanding your control over hitting the notes, chords, in a key, in a scale, and whatnot. And this works for any single scale. If you're just starting out with the modes, you can just focus on one mode that way for an entire month, can implement all kinds of exercises as long as you know how to build them around the chord, or have somebody who just dropped some guitar profiles here in the description where you can just play this stuff for free. Then you will have a starting point and you can expand from there. Because the beautiful thing is, it's once you understand one of the diatonic scales really well, you can just flip the thing and then start spinning it and using it. If you take a look at the notation that you find down here, for instance, you will see that there is a second score here in the key of G sharp minor. And that one comes with a little invitation. I have a jam track in my community, which you can also grab for free. And I would invite you to just take the ideas here, take the concept here, take the chord motion colors, arpeggios and whatnot you discover, write a small solo or improvise one, share it with us in my guitar community. I'll make sure to give you a comment, some feedback if you want, and it will be a great experience to see how you creatively use this stuff. Because at the end of the day, sure, technique and all of this stuff matters, it's great, but don't we all just want to end up making music once we're done with all of that? Which is why I think integrating technique into musical context is so key to really move to the next level. All right, thanks for your time. I hope this was a helpful one. Have a wonderful week and see you soon.